Welcome to the new episode of our podcast. Today's guests are students of our department and the finalists of the S02E8, or the student conference, Laura Pantelić, Nikoleta, Verešová, and Ingrid Bothová. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
So please, could you summarize the topic of your presentation?
Sure. So the topic of my presentation was using picture books in English language teaching, using Marla Frase's picture book, The Farmer and the Clown. And we have prepared 4 lesson plans and then conducted it with adults, with 6 adult students. And there was a research, how do they respond, what's the reaction, how do they feel while working with picture books.
Okay, so it was from methodological part. So you were talking about how to use picture books when teaching English to adults, right? Okay, thank you very much. Laura?
So I had a literary topic analyzing satirical elements in the novel Good Omens, and mainly from the stance of satire, but I also analyzed the religious aspect within the book. I mainly analyzed how the apocalypse genre was subverted within Good Omens, how the Book of Revelation was adapted and in turn subverted by the humanization of the biblical characters and events that occur in the book. And I also looked at a few other elements, such as the footnotes of the book, which also contribute a lot to the overall satire of the book.
So that was the literary topic, and now Nikoleta, linguistic topic. So what was your presentation about?
Yeah, so my presentation was about analysis of spontaneous speech. Practically, I focused on filled pauses, and I aimed to reveal whether the duration and also frequency of filled pauses is in L1 is different from L2.
So that was also a very, very interesting topic from the linguistic field. And what inspired you to pursue the topic you presented at the conference?
Initially, I didn't want to do anything related to linguistics, but since I somehow overslept the deadline for choosing my topic for my final thesis, so I have basically no other choices, because when I conducted some teachers that are dealing with or that are teaching literature, they already had a lot of students. So then I ended up contacting Mrs. Markova, and she agreed that she will be my supervisor, and then we somehow came up with this topic on filled pauses in spontaneous speech of undergraduate students.
Yeah, and definitely there was very pleasant collaboration, at least on my side. So I'm glad that the events happened the way they did. So great, thank you, Nikoleta, for that. Laura, what inspired you to present at the conference?
Specifically S02E8, right?
It can be why did you decide to pursue the topic for the conference?
Well, I was on a different study program a year ago, and I had a different bachelor thesis topic that was also something that I had to do because nothing was left, because I thought I would choose mine later for various reasons. But I ended up having to choose one, so I went with something with linguistics, and that was a terrible idea because I don't like linguistics much, not the theoretical aspects at least. So when I transferred here and I had an opportunity to choose my own topic, I made sure to choose something that I really am interested in, because I really didn't want to be stuck with writing 30 pages of something I'm not interested in. And I chose the book Good Omens specifically because I really loved that book. I first watched the TV show before I read the book, but I still love both of them. And so I thought I could not do this general analysis because I couldn't find any elements. I couldn't find anything analyzing the book that much. Like I could find like general character analyses on YouTube and things like that, but that's not very like credible. So I thought I could put my own input in this. And so that's why I ended up choosing this.
Do you think that if you were to continue with that linguistic topic, you wouldn't be able to do it? Because as you can see, happy accidents can happen.
No, I...
Not for you?
I think it was like about neologismi, COVID-related neologisms or something like that. And no, I could not.
Okay, and what about you, Ingrid?
My situation was a bit different because I was very interested in quite a few topics when I've seen them in the system. And I wanted to do linguistic, literature, anything. And then I did my research. Also, I've seen Nikoleta's topic as well. It was also very appealing to me. But then in that semester, we had Introduction to Literary Studies, and we have it with Associate Professor Hericková, and I really liked and adored her style of teaching and also her personality. So after I did my research, and then I basically was inspired by her, and I thought, when I've seen her topic, that it could be probably the best choice for this time. But I was really hesitating before, and I was overexcited. What now? Which topic to choose?
And for the book, just as an interesting question, did you choose that book, or was that part of the thesis, basically?
It was a part of the thesis, but there were 4 or 5 picture books, so I carefully selected this one, as this one was the most appealing, and I've got some ideas immediately when I've seen the title, and then I Googled it, of course, and read a little about the author, and that's how I chose.
Okay. So what about some of the challenges that you faced? What was the most difficult part of the process of creating your presentation, your paper, not necessarily your thesis, because probably you are still in the finishing phase, right? But at least the paper for this presentation. So what was it? What was the process like? What was challenging? What surprised you? Anything that you would share?
First, I did a research on teaching with picture books, not especially for adults, but using images and different. I found different studies and approaches, and then I Googled also picture books, and I did theoretical research, and then I started to work with the picture book, The Farmer and the Clown itself, and quick brainstorming, not really quick, maybe for 2 weeks, but it was a nice big brainstorm. And I've got some ideas. Then, of course, I had consultation with my supervisor, and then we were thinking about what should be the main focus or the added value of this work. And the most challenging was to create activities appealing for adults, as I'm working with picture books which are associated with children or preschoolers, and that was quite challenging, but probably one of the best parts as well.
That's also an interesting choice. So why adults? Because I would also think that picture books, then we will do it with I don't know, up to teenagers maybe, but not adults. So why did you go in that direction?
Yeah, somehow I wanted to mix the two, or do like a hybrid version. So I wanted to try something new, and I knew that this is a safe place to try, and probably the best time of my life to do things like this. And also my supervisor was very up for it. And I also have experience with teaching adults, and I was just curious because when I touched the book, I immediately got some ideas, and also I started to think about the story itself. How does it relate to my life or anyone around me? So I thought, why not?
I think it was a good idea. Yes, it was probably the most surprising for me, at least, and I see definite potential in creating more activities like that. Okay, thank you very much, Laura. What about your challenges?
Whenever I write, I can't really see. A lot of the times, I can't really see what I'm trying to say with what I'm trying to. If I'm trying to, like creative writing, especially, I don't really see the full picture until I write it out. Until I write the first draft, let's say. And so when I was writing the thesis, it turned out to be the very same. I had no idea what I wanted to say. I didn't know how I wanted to say it. I'm still working out the conclusion because I need to write it out first. a major part of my thesis is the satirical elements. It's the name of my thesis, and it's what it is what I'm analyzing, and it is what I've written up in the text, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't really see how it relates to satire, what I've written up, until like way later. Like for each section, I wrote this mini conclusion, which does contribute to the overall point of satire, but I couldn't see it. Still, like the humanization of characters, that's how Good Omens satirizes the apocalypse genre and also the Bible. But I wrote it out a little differently. And also, I guess, just general nervousness for presenting for Svoboda, because I've never done that before. Presentations are difficult. There was more people than just the committee, so it was also a bit overwhelming. But I mean, I think it turned out all right in the end.
I liked also what Ingrid pointed out with that brainstorming. If I may go into my field of introduction to research methods, I see that students very often underrate that initial stage of doing research and writing thesis, which is brainstorming, or actually just sitting and thinking about what you're going to do. But it's, I think, in my opinion, it's the most important part, because you need to truly summarize your thoughts and plan the whole procedure, because afterwards you can get truly stuck. And also what Laura mentioned with her thesis, like driving points home is a common problem, not just for you, for students, but for us as well. When we are writing something, we have certain specific elements, and to drive them home is very, very hard, and to connect them into concise thoughts. So that's all natural that you struggled with this. And Nikoleta, what about you? What were the most difficult parts of either writing the thesis that you at first didn't like, maybe doing linguistic research, or just a whole another kind of research? So what were the most difficult challenges for you?
So I would say that the statistics, because before I started to write my thesis, I had no idea how to do statistics and how to interpret the correlations and then create scatter plots. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And then as Laura already said, that presenting in front of the committee and then in front of other people, because when I'm presenting, I'm usually freak out and I want everything to be over as quickly as possible. So that also happened, I think, that at the conference. And yeah, I would say that the presenting and then all the statistics and processing the data for my thesis and for this topic.
Yeah, I think that by nature, people are, I don't want to say lazy, but we are so scared to step out of our comfort zone, and definitely presenting in front of people is something very, very far away from your comfort zone. I think for everyone, no one is that natural in presenting, and you know that you are being kind of judged. So that's totally natural. And my question related to this is, what actually convinced you to participate in the conference, to actually present your paper? What was the process of deciding that, okay, I'm going to try it, I'm going to attend the conference?
Money.
Well, was it money?
Yes, it was money. I need comics, and comics cost money.
So, okay, but you're honest, that's good. Yeah, but then you had to be kind of not sure, but you hope that you're gonna win. So that's a good mindset, like attending the way that, okay, I'm the winner, and you did it. So great.
I mean, like, it was money, but also, like, it's just, it's a good opportunity. It's gonna look good on, I don't know, when I apply for, like, the next stage of my study for, like, magistrate. But also I'm trying to apply for a scholarship. So I thought that if I could win something, maybe I could put it on my scholarship as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Very, very good motivation. So that's also for other students. See, this is the motivation to participate in the conference. What about the others?
My supervisor gave me the final push, and yeah, when I read her feedback that it's well written, and also I knew that it's an interesting topic, as this combination of picture books and adult. So I thought that I have this added value, what I mentioned before. So I thought that that could be, a good opportunity And also, yeah, for the future, as Laura mentioned.
And maybe to get some feedback in advance, yeah.
Also feedback, yes, from teachers.
Yeah, Nikoleta, I think that was what we discussed as well, that we actually wanted for you to get some feedback and to try that presentation skills before.
And also different viewpoints, also related to the committee, that they gave us feedback, and then I know what I should put or emphasize more in my final thesis.
We discussed the difficulties or the challenges, but on the other hand, I think we should go more like, yeah, this motivational part, what was the motivation behind, was already a positive part of the conversation, but what was the part of the preparation and of the process that you truly enjoyed, some enjoyable parts of preparing for such conference, if any?
I loved creating lesson plans, and they were all constructed carefully, so they follow up. And also when I conducted the lessons with the 6 students, and I've seen their reaction, how they enjoy also cooperation, teamwork, creating monologues and dialogues. That was probably the best. And also when I started to write it down, and I've got the reaction of the students and the feedback when they filled the questionnaire that I sent them.
I did enjoy that I saw my favorite professors in there. Also, when no one asked me after I finished my presentation, no one spoke, and that kind of scared me because, oh wow, was it that bad? Because there's no questions, and then any questions, more silence. And
so
then,
now you know how we teachers feel during the classes.
I
There's
know.
always silence.
I know that I felt that pain when it was COVID and we had those online lessons and just the teacher spoke. I felt that, don't worry. But I also like that Mrs. Hricková was there, and then she also added a nice comment. I think it was about, now I'm kind of confusing everything that was said there, but I think it was about that I didn't use any notes or something, and I really like that, but I didn't use them because I was too nervous to pick them up. So I forgot.
That's probably usually the case when you are doing something like this. You have something prepared, but then when you start talking, you will just automatically turn to your own thoughts and somehow forget about the notes. So I think that's also natural. Yes, Nikoleta?
Probably, as Laura said, that she was presenting without notes. Okay, so when I saw that Laura was presenting without her notes, I freaked out, and initially I wanted to not read, but look at the notes to at least at the results, so I will not miss something. But then when I saw her, I knew that I cannot pick up those notes. So I just omitted everything, and then I tried to explain everything in my words. And the best part was that when after the conference, Dr. Horvatová came to me and she said that I really nicely explained the statistics, even though she didn't understand anything from the scatter plots, so she could understand when I explain it in plain words.
Yeah, I agree. And was there anything that surprised you? Either it doesn't have to be just about the conference, but maybe about the research process of writing, something you didn't expect or you were not ready for.
I was surprised when the adults, or how willing they were to work with picture books when I presented them that I would love to try this. And they were really excited and they really wanted to try and learn and, yeah, try new things.
So I would say that the most surprising thing for me was that not all these fluencies in speech can be influenced by our proficiency in language, but it can be also influenced by our individual speaking style. And then, for example, that as I analyzed filled pauses, I find out that they can have many different functions in communication. Probably this was the most surprising for me.
I'm not sure if you can tell us anything new, but do you have any takeaways from this conference, this presentation that you will definitely remember, and maybe something that you would also advise other students to do in the future?
Or something that you would do differently next time. So something like this.
I would just be aware of your deadlines, but then again, it can be helped when so many of them overlap. I made the presentation, I think I started on Sunday evening, and I did it on Monday evening as well, because I had phonetics exam on Monday, and I was supposed to have a midterm for syntax on Wednesday, and I started late on that because I was catching up for other things. And so I finished the presentation on Tuesday, and then I presented it to Maya, my friend and my roommate. And then, we mainly went through the presentation once, but we stayed on one slide for 45 minutes because I didn't know what to say. I put in bullet points that I put in while I was just thinking what should be on the slides, and not what I'm supposed to say, what I'm supposed to recap on the chapter. And so I overgeneralized the slides, particularly about the book of Revelation. And I went through trying to say what I wanted to say about, I remember everything, how I wrote the thesis, because I wrote the thesis and it's interesting to me and everything, but I just couldn't remember what I really wanted to say in that moment, and because of the nervousness. But then once I got through it at least once, when I knew what I wanted to say, even without those notes that I didn't use, I still knew what I wanted to say and what I did.
Yeah, preparing for presentation is whole different than preparing or writing your thesis. That's why sometimes students underestimate it again, that they start too late. But for you, it was because of other deadlines. But other students just underestimate preparation of the presentation. Oh, I'm just going to structure it as my thesis, so chapter 1, chapter 2, and that's maybe the worst approach that you can take. But I think that, again, in the end, it turned out well. Maybe we could talk regarding this research thing and bachelor thesis thing. And the last question that I would ask for my part would be that, what are some of your future plans? I mean, regarding the academic field or the thesis, would you like to work on your master thesis using a similar topic?
I would definitely like to continue and further investigate picture books in teaching adult learners. And This Farmer and the Clown is actually a trilogy. So there's the Farmer trilogy, and there are 2 other parts of the story. And I'd like to prepare a booklet, maybe out of all these 3 picture books, or to create an online platform so other teachers can use it, and also I can implement it to teach in.
To be fair, I wasn't sure if I would even continue until a few months ago. I'm still not sure, but probably. I mean, it'll probably be literature because it's what I'm interested in. A year ago, I read the Mistborn trilogy, and I really loved it. So maybe I could try to analyze something about the magic system or something within it. I don't know. That's what's on my mind right now, but I have no idea.
And Nikoleta, so you worked on linguistic topic that you didn't want to work on, and you will have another option probably if you want to continue on a master program. So you will probably have another opportunity to choose the topic of your master thesis. Is it going to be linguistics, or you would like to switch to literature?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think that now I cannot imagine doing something from literature, because when I learned all the process, how to do linguistics, this all the statistics and stuff like that. Now I cannot imagine doing something related to literature.
So it's more natural to continue with the same line.
It's nice to hear that you're considering the linguistic aspect. I think that linguistics is very underrated again. So I mentioned it a lot, that something is underrated, but I think that students should give at least a chance to linguistics, as maybe Laura did, but she found that it's not her way, and that's totally fine. I think that's part of the process. Maybe let's move further from this Schwoj and research thing to your studies in general. You are third years, you had some previous experiences. So how has your university experience been so far? And what have been some of the biggest challenges you have faced?
I don't know if you specifically, but many students have to balance school with work as well. So are you in a similar situation? I know Ingrid is, right? So
Very much.
she has to balance it.
I'm balancing
So
it.
how are you doing with that?
I'm doing good, to be honest, I think, for what I do. Yes, I'm trying to balance school and then work and then family life also. And it's challenging, but there's this excitement in it. And I love when I'm successful. So that's what motivates me to do. And you really need to plan your whole week. So usually on Sundays, we sit down with my fiance and we're planning it every single hour or minute even, so that this is a time when we can do something for our future, or we're actually planning a wedding too. So there was a time when we were discussing what about the wedding, then about my thesis, then he also started a new job, so we were also trying somehow to stay calm in the madness. And of course, we also have some subjects this year as well, and then writing a thesis, then working besides. And it's just fun. Life is nice when it's happening. So I'm up for the challenges, definitely.
Okay, is it similar for the two of you? Do you work at the same time and study? Is this the biggest struggle, like trying to have enough time for everything and trying to be good in multiple tasks?
Well, I don't work yet. Every time I've tried to find a job, something came up, like either exams started or I was transferring and things like that. But I would like to work theoretically, but I just feel like I like having free time. But I will have to start working this next year, I think, because I want some experience and I also want some additional money because I want to switch to an apartment. Have my own little space, because dorm life is not for me.
Yeah.
No privacy, 3 people for 1 room. Luckily our roommate moved out, but it's not something for me. Some people can handle it, I can't. That's the biggest challenge as a university student, I think.
And you're also writing, right? So how does that work? Do you write at the dorm usually, or where is your space where you can do that?
Usually at the dorm or at home, when I'm at home. Sometimes I go to a cafe when I can't focus. Also, it's really nice to write in a cafe when you can focus. It's just a nice environment, and, or at the cafeteria in our dorm, which is closed. So it's just basically a lot of seating area that no one uses.
Okay, so these were the challenges. And again, I like to balance everything in life. So what are the most positive aspects of your student life? Or maybe we can also talk about university as institution or our department. What do you like about your study life? What do you like about the department?
Motivated teachers, definitely. And also all the opportunities that they provide us. Also from linguistics, as in April we have the Linkpril.
Yeah, then this is paid promo.
No, seriously, all the opportunities, either linguistics, literature, or in teachings, we have different workshops, so they make our lives easier, and we can also learn in this non-formal way.
So Ingrid mentioned the events and the teachers maybe here at the department. Do you have anything else that you find very encouraging or positive being a student here at our department or at the university as such?
Well, I like that you're trying to branch out, like this podcast thing. We keep having more events. I'm still trying to convince Mrs. Ritskova to put more writing events because, self-motivated goal. But I know a few creative minds at this school. And even if there's a few of them, if we can organize something for them, that would be great. Because most students won't participate in events because they're just not interested, either in the specific topics of the events, like maybe not linguistics, maybe not culture, or they're just, I think they're just trying to get through university mainly. So they're maybe burnt out, like maybe they have another job and maybe they have family, they have other issues. So they're just trying to get through the main classes that they need. But that's why it's important to try to have something, at least from time to time, for the students who are interested.
Yeah, it's important to find at least one thing that you find interesting is outside the classroom. I know that we all are probably overwhelmed by the duties and you are just putting checks like, right, okay, done, another task done. But it's important, from, as you said, from time to time to find some time to attend some other events. And at first it's maybe like, oh, I don't want to attend, I'm too lazy to do that, I'd like to, I don't know, do something else. But afterwards the feedback is always very positive, that, oh, I enjoyed that so much and it was better than I thought that it would be. So these were the positive things. Do you see any room for improvement, something that you don't truly like? And you can freely be honest. I think that we all are trying to improve the environment. So now is the time when you can give us some feedback, also what you've heard from your classmates. What would you like to change?
I would like more like official writing classes, honestly. It's English studies, but we don't have that here, and I was so disappointed. But it'd be nice if we could have at least like elective subjects for that, like C classes.
Okay, ladies, I think we covered all questions. Thank you very much for your participation in the conference and for your time today. We wish you good luck with your upcoming defense and your future studies as well. And thanks also to our listeners, and stay tuned for the next episode of our podcast.